Hello everyone, my name is Duncan. I'm a data engineer with Westloop Strategy, an AWS partner. Today for our parameters in QuickSight series, we're going to be talking about how to build filters from your parameters. Let's say I want to filter multiple visuals or maybe multiple sheets at the same time. To accomplish this, I'm going to use a parameter and a control. This way, my user can update one value and see that filter applied in multiple places. To do this, we want to target a specific field in our data set. So first, I'm going to make my parameter. I'm going to go to the top left, hit Add, and hit Add Parameter. For now, I'm going to choose a field with a string data type. For me, let's use product. A quick tip here, you're going to see at the top that you can name your parameter. Be consistent with how you name your parameters and make them unique so that you can easily find what you're looking for in the future while you're trying to build out your dashboard. So this could look like making them all caps, maybe using underscores, numbering them, etc. It's really going to be up to you. Just make sure that each name is unique and is consistent with your naming convention. So now that we have our name, we have our selected data set, you have a few important decisions to make while you set up your parameter. For example, I want my user to be able to select multiple values from my product field to be able to make comparisons. So I'm going to choose multiple values. If I want them to be able to only choose one value in my future filter, I would select a single value. Next, I can choose whether or not I want that default value to be a specific value in that data set, and I can just write that in. One note here, if you're gonna choose a default value, it's gonna be case sensitive to what's in your data set field, so make sure that you know your data set fairly well. So this is gonna be especially handy if we're doing this via a date period. But for now, I want my users to be able to have all values showing prior to filtering, so I'm going to leave that default value blank. So continuing on with my setup, finally at the bottom, you're going to see that checkbox that says blank by default. This just means that if there is no default value above, so we've left it blank, that the filter will be blank by default rather than saying select all. Which I'll show that in a moment. I want my users to be able to hit select all because I have a multiple value filter. So I'm just gonna leave that blank and I'm not gonna check that off. Now I just hit create. So it's now redirected me to a new pop-up. Here you're gonna see a couple of different options. You can create a calculated field, you can add to a filter. For today, we're gonna select control. When setting up your control, remember that the title is your end user is going to see, okay? So the title that you write here in your control is what your end user is going to see. So make sure that that makes sense to them and it relates to the information that you want to convey to them. I like to really keep things simple, so I'm just going to say product selection. Since we chose a multi-select parameter in our setup, our options are going to reflect that. For ease of use, I really recommend sticking to drop-down or list. In this next option, I'm going to use a drop-down, but if you choose list, your end result would be an object on your sheet with each option listed out, and your user would be able to select which one they wanted. So as we keep going down the control menu, we're going to see that we either define a specific values in that text box that pops up, or, and this is what I really want to do, I can link it to my data set. So going back to when I chose product at the beginning. So I'm going to pop in that I want to use from my data set. I'm going to link this, and that's going to give my parameter that value that I want to pass on to the other sheets or the multiple visuals. So now in that drop down that pops up, I'm going to choose the data set product and a field that I want to target and hit add. as we keep going down the control menu, we see that we can either define that we want to use a specific value that we can show in that text box below, or we can link it to a data set. So I want to link this to a data set. I want to use my field product so that I can give my parameter a value. So when I select that new option of link to a data set, it creates some new options below for a drop-down menu. In that drop-down menu, I'm going to choose my data set, and then I'm going to choose my target field, which is product, and I'm going to hit add. So now it pulls me back to my analysis, and at the top of the sheet, I see that I have my drop-down selection for product. Now, what's really important here is, I can make a couple of selections, but it's not doing anything to my visual below. So what I need to do is add this to a filter so that it's attached to my visual. So to do that, I'm gonna choose, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into this panel, I'm gonna click on my visual, and on the left-hand side in that control panel, where there's a little funnel, I'm gonna hit filters, I'm gonna hit add filter. I'm gonna choose product as my field, and then I'm gonna use custom filter for filter type, and my condition is set to equal. And that right under the condition, I'm gonna check off use a parameter, then select my product parameter that I made earlier. Now when I set my control, I am filtering my visuals. So what's the value of this? Well, if I go to another sheet and repeat this process, and now let's say on my first sheet, I filter to a specific set of products, let's say Alchemy and Chatbot plugin, and I go to my second sheet that has this parameter and filter set up, it's also filtering the visuals on my extra sheet. So it's gonna update all subsequent sheets and visuals that are also attached to that parameter and filter group. Thanks for joining us today. To find out more about how we help our clients use AWS cloud technologies, or to schedule your own QuickSight training session, check out our website or follow us on LinkedIn.